Hi friends, I wonder if I'm the only one who feels like the world's gone completely mad. Scientists have finally figured out that the bacteria in our stomachs aren't just loitering, they are actively meddling with the brain chemistry. Yes, yogurt is now officially considered a cure for sadness. Grab a plastic cup with fruit puree and voila, happiness for 1.99 is in the diary aisle. Your local supermarket is basically a pharmacy now. According to the new theory, these microscopic tenants practically help shape our personalities from childhood. How exactly? Nobody knows. But they suspect that vagus nerve, the one connecting stomach and brain, works like a secret Wi-Fi for bacteria. Mice, given probiotics, suddenly became less anxious and more social. Meaning, if you are an introvert whose only friend is the cat, maybe it's not your personality. It's just that you are not eating enough yogurt. Stop letting down your microbial bodies. They're counting on your social life for their own breeding program. Professor John Crient, a global expert on gut-brain axis, openly admits bacteria thrive when we thrive. Basically, it's a microbial mafia. Being social, it turns out beneficial not for you only, but for your inner bacteria clan too. Yogurt today has become a full-fledged superfood. It's good for digestion, good for immunity, and thankfully sold with sugar because, let's be honest, no kids will touch it otherwise. Probiotics are now crammed into everything: chocolate, cookies, and who knows, maybe enough sausages next. But don't celebrate too soon. The health authorities sternly remind us that yogurt has side effects. So don't be surprised if your bacteria are happy while you get bonus prize of health problems. And yet, doctors still prescribe yogurt for diarrhea, colitis, and immune support. Of course they do. Who wouldn't love a universal medicine that both heals and disappoints you at the same time? In 2011, a New York court reviewed the case of a nun who lost nearly 850,000 at a casino. According to the New York Post, 65-year-old Maria Thornton ended up on trial. She had spent most of her life in the Order of Saint Joseph. The court learned that Maria Thornton, Sister Susie, had been taking money from the treasury of Iona College, located in the New York suburb of New Rochelle. Her position as the college's financial director allowed her to manage the institution's funds. During her time at the college, Sister Susie frequently visited casinos in Atlantic City, where she played slot machines. On one occasion, she lost 100,000 in a single evening, whereas the typically she spent between 2 and 5,000 only. The blog Atlantic City Central notes that the college itself didn't sue the nun, but an investigation was launched after the institution had to report its finances in 2009 tax declaration. Thornton was formally charged and faced up to 3 years of prison. However, Judge Kimber Wood showed leniency and chose not to sentence the nun to jail. Still, Sister Susie will spend the coming years in isolation. She was assigned a small room at a convent in Philadelphia. The religious order banned Sister Susie from taking part in its activities and from communicating with other nuns. Thornton was gambling nun, and she was prohibited from dining with the rest of the convent. She is only permitted to leave her cells when going to city for group therapy sessions. According to Sister Susie herself, isolation is good for her. What a pathetic court decision. A devout woman embezzled 850,000, and the court basically, in fact, expressed deep concern about this matter. Pathetic. Everyone knows that diet affects health, both your mind and your body. But a new study claims that even crazy food experiments can leave an indelible mark on your microbes. Yes, those tiny creatures living in your gut are actually running your body like a little army of strict dictators. And that army isn't so little. The total weight of beneficial microbes living in your bodies and keeping us healthy is about 2 kilograms. It all starts with the circadian rhythms, your internal clock that decides when you are awake and when you should sleep. Every cell is like a mini office with its own strict boss who won't tolerate disorder. Disrupt your sleep cycle and disruptive yourself of the daylight, and your cells start to panic. Welcome to the world of circadian disruption, where every action you take is a potential crime against your body. But wait, that's only the beginning. Your gut is its own empire of microbes acting like little despots. They couldn't care less about sunlight. Their only concern is when you feed them the next portion of food. Skip breakfast and they revolt, switch into recovery mode and secretly plot revenge. Mess with their schedule and soon you'll be suffering from weight issues, digestive problems and overall poor health. Essentially, diet isn't a trendy choice. It's a way to appease those tiny dictators. And chaotic eating? That's practically a crime against biology. You ruin the finely tuned rhythms and unleash chaos inside your gut. The advice is simple. Eat at roughly the same time every day. Your metabolism will thank you. Your microbes will too, at least until they decide to punish you. And your well-being will be somewhat tolerable. And yes, routine matters not only for microbes, but for your own work and life in general. So forget about midnight sandwich and late night snacks. Your microbial dictators will remember, and they won't forgive you. In Florida, where every other headline reads like a start of a joke, resident Brian McGuinn somehow managed to throw away his wife's diamond ring worth $10,000 along with the trash. Apparently, he thought that the garbage bin was the world's best safe. The next day, Brian discovered the loss, but by then the trash had already been hauled off to the dump. For most people, that would have been an end of the story, but not for Brian. The prospect of losing his wife seemed scarier than digging through mountains of waste. He contacted the landfill owners and got permission to go fishing in the garbage piles. They even gave him a special suit, like for a space mission, except instead of stars, he was surrounded by expired yogurt cups and dirty diapers. At first, Brian heroically sifted through hundreds of bags, but then realized he wasn't looking for a needle in a haystack, but rather a green striped bag among all the stench. And miracle of miracles, within half an hour he found it. His joy was as if he'd won the lottery jackpot, though honestly he just retrieved what he himself had thrown away. Anne's ring was found, and that's a huge relief because without it, I doubt she won't have let me through the door, Brian admitted. At this moment, even the garbage collectors probably applauded. The search took only 30 minutes, which Brian called a record. And indeed, not everyone can go from idiot who threw away the ring to hero who retrieved it from a garbage heap in half an hour. So classic American happy ending, but I still don't get a few things. Why wasn't the wedding ring on Anne's finger, but instead with the trash? I also suspect Anne McQueen might have had an affair and was preparing to divorce. How else to explain that she didn't wear the ring and told Brian he couldn't come home without it? Plus, one more thing seemed suspicious. A search took just 30 minutes and Brian proudly called it a record. Sounds like this wasn't the first time the ring ended up in the dump. Just the first time he found it so quickly. Well done, Brian. You are the real champion. But for some reasons, I'm 100% sure he voted for Trump during last year's elections. What do you think about it? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts, my friends. Share them down in the comment. I'll be reading them all.